Moss Trophy for closed cockpit GT cars of up to 1963. 2 Aston Martins on a front row, and the Ferrari alongside. Very brilliant start from Theo Hunt in his Cobra from row 2. That may get into the mix. Everybody pretty much got away. Dario Franchitti has been jumped by Harrison Newey. Theo Hunt's up to 3rd. Alexander Van der Lof in that number 21 Ferrari down into 4th place. A one drive, but very... Oh no, I tell you what, it was Ollie Bryant was held back and eventually waved away all on his own.
Yeah, not only did he get a penalty from losing his 3rd row grid, he got held 10 seconds, but actually Dario Franchitti had just a few thousand too many RPM on the grid, and that allowed Harrison Newey to gain the advantage into Madrick, and he's maintained that advantage now as they come all the way through Ford Water and they begin the entry into St Mary's. So it's Aston, and then the AC Cobra, and first of the Ferraris.
Yeah, wonderful drone shot sort of running parallel with the cars. They go into the dip out of St Mary's, then up the very slight incline towards Lavant Corner, a place where passing can happen among the front runners, so you're going to be sure they're going to fight in their corner. But a wonderful rolling part of the circuit, neat and tidy. The front. Theo Hunt running very wide indeed in 3rd place. That's the unpainted Cobra with the black roof in behind Alexander Van der Lof trying to fight his way back, and then you get midfield. That's the world of the Austin Hillies. That little Lotus 11 bread van in among them.
And the Lotus 11 bread van is ahead of all the Lotus Elites in the field. Whoa, it runs very wide coming into Woodcote, and that's a problem.
Well, that was Theo Hunt. He'd already run quite wide coming out of St Mary's, held it together, but got it wrong down into Woodcote. That would be heart in mouth, but he just managed to drop himself from 3rd to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th position. Front 2 runners getting clear. That's the DB4 GTs. And Harrison Newey hanging on by 5/10ths of a second. Then behind Franchitti, who's in 2nd place, another 3 seconds back to 3rd. That's Alexander Van der Lof. Remember, he was given that when Theo Hunt ran out of road down at Woodcote. Some great overtaking further back down the field. And don't forget, qualifying was a little bit interrupted, but you need the dove grey car of Ollie Bryant. He's already put 4 runners behind him. He's up to 26th position. That's a story that will keep unfolding.
So the 2 Cobras follow the Ferrari, and the Ferrari was actually very slow in a strange line coming into the chicane. It was a very defensive line, didn't necessarily need to do so, but now running in clear air, and all he's got to think about is what he needs to do going forward, and let the 3 Cobras behind him squabble amongst themselves.
Yeah, and look for that unpainted one with the black roof. That was the one that got up to 3rd in the race with Theo Hunt. He's 3rd in the group of Cobras, but he's got the pace. He just got a little bit loose, but he's got one of the best of the Austin Hillies tucked in behind. Look at that red Cobra, 2nd in the run behind the red Ferrari of Alexander Van der Lof. So nimble, but that too in turn is getting challenged because Gregor Fiskins is now pushing John Spires. There's John Spires in number 3. Gregor Fiskin, the red Cobra with 68 on the door and the white roof, just ahead of the unpainted and black Cobra of Theo Hunt. That has the pace. Let's see how they get it right or wrong into Woodcote. This is where Theo Hunt lost it on the opening lap of the race. He is on the track this time. That's better.
See Van der Hoff, what he does in the Ferrari, he stays very much in the middle of the road to preclude any opportunity. One of the 3 of the Cobras might feel there's an opening that I can dive down into, so it comes out of the chicane ahead of the 3 Cobras, and Gregor Fiskin looks as if he's got the pace to get ahead of the number 3 Cobra, which is, oh, look at that, as Dario Franchitti's taken the lead. Yeah, burning rubber, that right, left rear, blue smoke coming off the rear of the Aston Martin.
Yeah, it was a drag race as they went past the pits, and starting the lap it was Harrison Newey by 1/4 of a second, but brave, bold, and carrying a bit more speed potentially as they accelerated away. Dario Franchitti got the job done. Now his job is to escape. Let's take a look down the start-finish straight, but very early the intent was clear from the Scottish driver. The Scottish ace and Dario Franchitti made the move.
I think in fairness, Harrison Newey didn't really offer very much defence, and look at the exuberance in this driving. No wonder the blue smoke's coming off that left rear of Dario Franchitti's Aston Martin. It is sideways still, and Newey likewise. It's almost sort of synchronised sideways driving.
It is drifting, but with far more style and far better, more attractive cars than you normally find on the drifting scene. Not to take away from them, these are fabulous cars, the DB4 GT Aston Martin. Harrison Newey is not though beaten. He's going up the inside. Can he get the braking done?
Showbiz Racing. These 2 are playing amongst themselves, I believe. They've got an advantage over the rest of the field by over 5 seconds, and they're just putting on a little bit of a show for the fans, for the television. I don't think this is really at this point a battle for the lead.
Well, it is a battle for the lead, but I know what you're saying there, John, but I'm not averse to watching the rear shot of these DB4 GTs as they pitched into Madrid corner and just watching them working their cars. The real battle, though, in so many ways, is battle for third place. Still Alexander van der Lof, but is there going to be a change of the place between the Cobras behind? No, John Spires in number 3 holds off Gregor Fiskin. Gregor kicks up the dirt, and Theo Hunt, potentially the quickest this trio, is at the back, but where and when and how? And the best of the rest is Joseph Wilmot in the best of the Austin Healey's in 7th place, just tucked in behind them.
Yeah, Hunt just had to drop back in behind Gregor Fiskin because he wasn't sufficiently alongside. Look at them, how the steering work is going on. So now the Ferrari, is it under threat, under challenge? Well, let's have a look and see into St Mary's. The Ferrari is the more sure-footed because it's got a better balance, better grip, but you can't deny the power and the excitement of watching a Cobra around Goodwood.
Yeah, but in fact, what I noticed is the Ferrari seems to get its power down sooner, probably because, as you say, it's more balanced as a car. Oh, now here comes the move from John Spires. John, a very, very busy historic racer in this and that, here and there. But that was he thought about that move. Now, who else is thinking about a move? Dario Franchitti? Well, he needs to. He's down in 2nd place, but up the inside he comes. Oh, are you right? I think you're right, John. I think they're playing at the moment.
I think this is a little bit for the benefit of both the fans. Look, I mean, look at the way they're sliding the backs of their. Now, if you're in a real race, you probably wouldn't want to be doing that, but let's put on a show because that's what people come to see. They want to see two drivers at the level both Dario Franchitti and Harrison Newey are capable of displaying, putting on a great show.
No, they really, really are. And the gap to those behind it was 5.5 seconds. Now, of course, a different car because suddenly Alexander van der Lof has fallen from 3rd to 4th down to 5th place now because Gregor Fiskin's gone past as well. And interestingly, having gone up into 3rd place, John Spires, I think, is starting to make his move. And another driver making his move is Joseph Wilmot, that number 81 Austin Healey. He's hunted down and passed Theo Hunt. How and why? This is why the Ferrari got delayed, just bottled up, couldn't get through the chicane. Theo Hunt on the outside, not on the circuit anymore, had to slightly lift off the throttle. That allowed that the AC and Shelby Cobra battle to get split. Are we going to see the Ferrari coming back? Car number 21. It's got the pace, but Joseph Wilmot is absolutely flying.
This is the Austin Healey I was watching yesterday. I mean, for an Austin Healey to be able to outpower and outperform an AC Cobra, I mean, I don't know why. It is a superb little car, but being driven absolutely brilliantly. Yeah, well, Joe Wilmot knows it very, very well indeed, and that's absolutely showing. Back to the Aston Martin battle at the front of the field. The Aston Martin show. They were 8.6 seconds clear of the best of the rest, and that's a vigil that is growing even more. But John Spires, having got free of this battle, of course, it was very much sorted out down at the chicane. He'd already got through last time around, but he is now able to run at the pace that he expects to run at. And Hunt in his Cobra, having lost ground in the opening lap here at Woodcote, then on the lap we have gone into, running wide, coming out of the chicane, is paying the penalty of that. He's got that superb Austin Healey ahead of him. And further through the field, another DB4 GT and another Aston Martin. And the first of the elites has now got ahead of the Bread Van Lotus 11. And Ollie Bryan, look, he's making good progress, finally getting his way up into 18th position. Yeah, I intentionally stayed away. The battling was so good for that lead duo and then the sort of quintet of cars fighting over 3rd, 4th, etc. Ollie Bryant he's alongside Cut 7, a very famous, that's the 2nd generation of the Dick Prothero cars with that Cambridge blue noseband on the gunmetal livery. Looks like he's missing a rear light. Oh dear, one of the Aston Martins out. I think that's 33, Nicholas Ditting. He said, having put his notes upside down. Yes, it is Nicholas Ditting, yeah. So his Aston Martin's pulled off. We don't know whether that's a mechanical problem. We assume it is. Back again to synchronised drifting from the 2 lead Aston Martin DB4 GTs. The blue one, it's got sort of the ex-Tommy Sopwith look, the Keep Endeavour colours. Maybe they did run an Aston, but again, look, getting alongside. And here we come down into Woodcote for coming up to complete lap 6.
So enjoying it very much. We're not quite at the halfway point in this 20-minute race, but exquisite sliding and balancing on the throttle of these 2 DB4 GT Aston Martins. We've seen Nicholas Ditting's car pull off, but James Alexander in the 3rd of the DB4s. That's the white one. That is a little bit further down the order, just inside the top 10 in ninth. But there's no doubting these 2 cars, one or other of these drivers will take victory. So Aston Martin 1-2. The question is, what is the order going to be? And again, that wonderful rear shot. And if you're new to watching historic racing, you can drift. You do drift.
Interestingly, the fastest lap right now has gone to Harrison Newey, a 1:29.6. Going back to the Win Percy Trophy race, fastest lap was set by Andre Lotterer in the VW Golf in a 1:29 as well.
There you go, it shows the improvement of tyres, etc, etc. Brilliant shot as they turn into some areas and trying to get the cars back across the right-hand side of the circuit so they can turn into the second part. Dario Franchitti has a slightly better line there, should carry a bit more momentum, but not close enough to make a move to regain the lead. Going into lap, no gap there. Dario wouldn't be impolite enough to even try, maybe on the last lap, but he tucks it behind.
He'll be thinking about a move coming down Levin straight into Woodcote. Look at Newey's got that car literally sliding as if it was on snow or ice.
Really was. You had to think that the chasing Scott would gain a benefit there because he had his wheels pointing straight ahead as they came out of the second part of Lavant, but somehow Newey's got enough power down to hold on to that lead position as they come down for the 7th time into Woodcote. Just gets in and just chucks the tail around. Right, a rare car in the field is the bronze Reliance Sabre 6, and then the world of little Lotus Elites. Small, nimble, and always an absolute joy to watch. That's car number 63, that's John Davison's car.
Have you spotted the obvious difference between this car and the other Elites? It's running on a set of wobbly Lotus magnesium wheels. Normally in period they would run, I believe, on wire wheels, but this car is equipped with a set of alloy or magnesium wheels, which would have been more appropriate, let's say, on the Lotus 23 or something similar.
Well, again, diversity is a great thing, and the Reliance Sabre 6, you don't see too many of those. That's just running up the track just in front of that, so a larger engine car, not as nimble, but again, we love the diversity.
A Ford engine is a 2.6 litre out of a Ford Zephyr. I think it was.
It was. We've just had a change of the lead and then a really sideways slip and slide from Harrison Newey. Has he started to wear his tyres a little too much? He certainly was working them harder than Dario Franchitti was, but Dario is back into the lead of this race. It's chopped, it's changed, but at the start of the lap with a third of a second advantage was that number 32 Aston Martin DB4 GT, but well, exuberant, sideways, stylish. I love it.
I think that's deliberate. He's making the car slide maybe arguably more than it would naturally want to do. He may be having to do it also to make the exit line slightly tighter. Maybe he's running out of road because he's getting a little bit too much understeer, but certainly he's exercising the wheel to make the car do what he wants it to do.
Yeah, and he's about to have to start lapping at the end of lap number 8. There are cars, Jaguar E-Type not too far up the track. The question is, where will he find it? Oh, well, he's already noticed, and it's pulled over to one side to let the charging group through. It's car number 44. No, it's not 44. We'll get a better sighting, but it's pulled to the side of the track. That's very nice, neat, polite racing there, moving to one side. I think it's Ciprian Nistorica, so that was well done. He had the time to see them in his mirrors, and he was in the right place where it didn't compromise him out of the chicane. Pulled to the left, let the Aston Martin DB4 GTs come down to the right-hand side. No interruption there at all.
So it looks like Dario Franchitti's got himself a comfortable lead of 0.8 of a second. But of course, coming into traffic, which you mentioned, Bruce, let's have a little look back.
Okay, this is, I guess, where the lead changed. The 32 of Harrison Newey just in front of the similar DB4 GT, but he was on the outside at Ford Water. No second invitation required, and that is where...
And in reality, no challenge given by Newey. No defence, no obvious signs of defence against Dario Franchitti.
No, they will fight on. Still 7 minutes remain. There we are. First and second Aston Martin DB4 GT from a similar car. Blue ahead of green. Franchitti ahead of Newey. Best of the rest, fully a dozen seconds back. And it's John Spires who made the moves early on in his number 3 Shelby Cobra 260. That's the one running in red. He picked off Alexander van der Lof. Alexander is still in the race. He's down in 5th place in his Ferrari short wheelbase Competizione. So at the moment we've got the 2 DB4 GTs, then we've got a pair of Cobras, then we've got the Ferrari, then the third of the Cobras, which is Theo Hunt. And again, just look at these nimble little that's the John Davison driven yellow and green striped Lotus Elite, so small and dainty, particularly compared to the Reliance in front and the Austin Healey in behind.
You know, when the TT was being held here in the late 50s and early 60s, especially for GT cars, and the Elites were the dominant car in their class, they used to annoy me like mad because they would even beat the factory Porsche Carrera, the Abarth Carreras, because the Lotus was such a good chassis. It was light, it was nimble, power to weight ratio excellent, and they just sort of blew away the factory Porsche Carrera coupes.
So will history repeat itself? I'm just being reminded, of course, Sterling Moss won here in an Aston Martin DB4 GT, so he ain't here quite clearly, but 5 years have gone in a flash since we lost Sterling, such a star. But two Aston Martin DB4 GTs in the top 2 positions. This, though, is the battle for 3rd place. John Spar's now being really chased very hard by another Cobra, Gregor Fiskin. Alexander van der Lof is in behind in that very, very elegant Ferrari. He's got the pace to match them. The clock is not his friend. 5.5 minutes remain. But which of these red cars will take 3rd place? I cannot tell you, John, but I'm starting to sense that Gregor Fiskin is looking more and more nimble in 4th place and harrying John Spar's. But John Spar's such a busy historic racer. He is going to be a hard nut to crack.
So status quo once again down into the Woodcut double, apex Woodcut corner exit, all that. So they cleared the Lotus Elite, one of the back markers, so a good clean clear run all the way through the chicane and then on to start finish straight, and clear, relatively clear air for these 2 lead Aston Martins, so they're not being inhibited by some of the back markers and finding themselves caught maybe with more than one car at a time.
Yeah, interesting at this stage in the race. They're running very, very similar pace to all the other cars in the top 6 or 7 positions, but they are putting on a fantastic show. One little mistake from Harrison Newey and it chopped back the other way. Haven't talked about Ollie Bryant for a while. I feel he might be getting into the top 10 very soon indeed. If we catch sight, yes, you can. His is that Dove Grey E-Type. There it is, number 111. He's very, very close to John Young, and that's going to be a hard one to get past the number 41. And Ciprian Nistorica pulls to one side, but not yet in the top 10. 12th position for Ollie Bryant, and they're both catching number 66, which is Michael Russell, the motorbike racer, in his Austin Healey. Let's see how soon they catch him, but a great little scrap.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see Ollie Bryant. He's made progress from the very back of the field, starting 10 seconds after the field got underway, and he's now running in a 12th place, looking down the exhaust pipes of getting up to 11th.
So where is the traffic going to fall for this lead duo? Certainly Harrison Newey has not been dropped, having lost that lead to Dario Franchitti, but Franchitti a winner here in this number 46 DB4 GT with Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time NASCAR champion at the end of last year at the Revival, and again pitched at angles that lesser mortals wouldn't dare consider. Into the chicane they go, and again you need to be neat and tidy here. You need to get the power down. You need not to be running over the curbing on the outside, and Dario in fact gave a real margin to himself there. The Scot fully confident in his car at the moment and not risking an iota.
So we're getting down to the closing minutes, just over 3 minutes of this race remaining. So that's going to be about 2 laps before the flag is out. Look at Dario. He gets the car sideways even before he gets to the second apex at the exit of Magic Corner. Again, smoke pouring off that left rear tyre. I dread to think what the tyres are saying. I mean, they must be yelling in agony because they're getting a real workout, particularly that left rear.
Certainly are, but the real question is who is going to be 3rd. We may yet have a change between 1st and 2nd, but Dario Franchitti looking increasingly comfortable. But the battle for 3rd place has suddenly stretched out. A lap or so ago we had the number 68 Cobra with the white roof right on the tail of John Spires. Maybe John worked traffic better, but he in his number 3 Cobra is holding on to 3rd position, sweeping through St Mary's, and every time we get the Ferrari of Alexander van der Lof getting onto the tail, he then loses out a little bit, but he's very neat and very tidy, and he's still giving chase.
Yes, that problem for that coming out of the chicane, I believe it is.
Yeah, Niall McFadden has put his car facing the wrong way with a little bit of...
a lot of damage.
Oh, a lot of damage. OK, he's effectively gone...
The chicane is non-existent.
OK, let's take a look how it happened. The Cut 7 Jaguar goes down the inside. Hans Nyssel's coal wing turns in and nowhere to go. And, well, you can see, thank goodness, it's no longer built with the original bricks. It's polystyrene and belting there. But that was a wheelie and then couldn't control his car because the front wheels weren't on terra firma, so wouldn't turn.
I think we might have a safety car deployment. The camera, there's actually a camera in that.
Fear not,
that's the remnants of what the camera was doing.
Yeah, fear not, there was no camera operator, you wouldn't put one there, but that was a big moment for Niall McFadden, and at a standstill. So I'm afraid that is the red flag. Well, there's no great supplies. We only had 2 minutes remaining on the clock, so I very much doubt we will get the racing going again. So Dario Franchitti is at the top of the charts and may well remain.
The flag marshal gave a sign to down below him, sort of that sign saying, that's it, we're not going to restart the race, there's not enough time to do so, so they've got to now go through the procedure of rebuilding. That's a considerable amount of rebuilding. So Dario Franchitti, the race red flag 2 minutes before the checkered flag, has taken the victory.
Well, there we have it. It was a master.
Hold on. Normally in a red flag, do you go back one lap?
He was in front.
I think he was
the lap before. Yeah, he just made it. But, you know, that could be one of the things if he was having that wonderful battle with Harrison Newey and they were playing a little bit after Claude, you have a go, I'll have a go. You're trying to remember who was in front, but there was that mistake, I'd say it was about 2 laps ago from Harrison Newey, and Dario pounced as they went down towards Fordwater, got the move done before St Mary's, and victory. Here we are in the Moss Trophy. That means we've only got a couple more races on the race card here, but that was a wonderful display from those DB4 GTs, cars that just seem really, really to suit the wonderful flow of the Goodwood Motor Circuit.